Good morning, student. I welcome you all to my class of English. In this session of today, I'm going to revise the same lesson, the best Christmas present in the world. So children, I have already, in my previous video, we have already started doing this chapter. We have completed the first part. There are 3 parts of the lesson. So now today I will be telling you about the second part. Okay, but before starting the explanation of the lesson, I'm going to tell you something about the Michael, about the lesson which is written by the author Michael Moore. So the author went to the junk shop in Bridport. Now let me tell you something that the narrator he wanted to buy a roll top deck since long time. He wished that he should have a roll top decks. Okay. Now he was not having enough money, so he was not able to buy. Now before Christmas he went to a junk shop in Bridport, and there he saw a old piece of furniture, let me say an old roll top decks. It was very old, but it was made of oak wood. Now oak wood is considered to be a good quality of wood which had a longer life. But the whole roll top decks was in a very poor state. It was in a very bad condition. It had a burn marks and it was still spoiled and damaged due to burn marks, and the water marks were also all over the roll top decks. Now children, but since it was cheap, so he thought he would get it, he would buy it and he would repair it. So finally he bought it and he began working on it on Christmas Eve. Well children, the roll top decks was really in a very poor state. He removed the roll top and tried hard to pull out the drawer. Now children, when he was repairing it, there were 3 drawers were there in the decks. So the last one he was not able to pull it out. It was stuck hard in the roll top decks. He tried hard, but he was not able to pull out that drawer. So what he had done, he hit the drawer with his fist, but then also it did not came out. So again he hit the hard that he took out, he hit it hard with his fist. Finally children, the drawer came out. When he found another secret drawer underneath, and when he looked there, he saw a small tin box were there in the secret drawer, and some page was pasted, a note was pasted on that black tin box. Now what was written in that? It was written in that Jim's last letter received January 25, 1915. So what was written in that note? It was written James last letter, okay, on January 25, 1915. The letter writer also wished to put it in now, and later children it was written that if she died, that letter should be put in her grave. Well children, he was very curious to read that letter, and in the second part which I am going to explain today, he was here Jim, that the narrator is reading the letter. Well children, he read the letter, and first of all he found an envelope with the address Mrs. Jim McPherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. So children, that address was of Dorset, and it was at the Bridport only, and the letter was dated December 26, 1940. So what was the date which was written on the letter children? The date was December 26, 1940. Now children, this was the year when the first World War had taken place. The first World War was going on, and I hope December 26, December 25 is the date where the whole world celebrate Christmas. The festival of Christmas is celebrated in the world, and children, this December 26 was next day to the Christmas. Now in that letter he had written that he is very happy today, and children he described now his soldier. Let me give you something about Mr. MacPherson. Mr. MacPherson was he was a commanding officer of British Army. At that time, children, the whole army of the world was involved in World War. So he went to the place where he had to fight against German soldier. Now he was very strict, children. The letter was actually written after the Christmas, as you can see the date to December 26 is there, and in that letter he had written what actually they have done in the in Christmas. Okay, so he told that he described everything which I will be explaining you today in today's lesson. I will be explaining that why he was happy, what he had done on Christmas, how they have celebrated Christmas time. They really had, though they were engaged in war, but they really had a gala time in the Christmas. Okay, and then children, finally children, he tells that after the war is over, he will soon come to her and they will live together again peacefully. Did he return back? Did he came to her? Why she was, what happened to Mrs. Jim MacPherson? This is we will read in the story. So I am going to start, children, okay, from in the meantime, I forgot to tell you, children, the author, when he saw the address and he read the letter, though he knew that it is a bad manner, he should not read the letter of anybody else, but then he told that yes, he will read the letter. Finally, he read the letter, and he thought that he should meet the lady who has now turned very old. She is 101 years old now, and he thought it is his moral duty to give the last letter of her husband to her. It seems to Jim, to the author also, that after the war her husband could not return. Okay, so he goes. Okay, on that day when he goes to meet her, it was Christmas only, and let's see what happened. So I will be starting from the second part. In second part, children, he has out of a curiosity, he took the letter and he is reading the letter. The narrator has taken out the letter from the tin box, and in that he found an envelope, and what did the address read? The address read, Mrs. Jim MacPherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. I took out the letter and unfolded it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top, December 26, 1914. So children, he took out the letter and he unfolded it, and it was written in pencil and dated at the top. So what was the date written there? December 26, 1914. So now children, he is reading the letter, and let's see what is written in the letter. Dearest Connie, so it was addressed to Connie. I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful had just happened that I must tell you about at once. Now children, here it is her husband who is telling that I must tell you what really has happened, and I am in a state of in a very happy state. My mind is very in a very happy state. We were all standing to it in our trenches. So he is telling we were all standing in. Now they are the soldiers, and what is the trenches? Long deep ditches in the ground where soldiers hide from the enemy. So they were all standing in the trenches yesterday morning, and yesterday morning was, children, Christmas morning, because children, it was on this day the letter was written. This is the date on the letter, December 26, and the whole world celebrate Christmas on December 25. So it was on this day the whole world is celebrating Christmas. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning. Christmas morning, it was crisp and quiet all about. Though it was Christmas morning, but since they were in the war area, so everything was quiet. Okay, as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen. The morning was very beautiful. It was quiet and a beautiful morning everywhere. It was covered with frost. Okay, it was cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. So it was cold and frosty morning. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it. Now children, I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth I am ashamed to say is that Fritz began it. Now children, Fritz are known as to, Fritz is, now Fritz and Tommy, these are the two words you will come across. So Fritz are the name of German soldiers and Tommy is the name given to British soldiers. Okay, Fritz and Tommy. So Fritz is the name given to German soldiers. So he's telling I am ashamed, but the fact is that it was Fritz who took a step forward. Okay, and first someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. The trenches which were opposite from us, which were from opposite side from us, and somebody was waving from the trenches. They were calling out to us from across no man's land. Now children, they were standing in a no land place. That means the space neither belonged to German nor belonged to British. So they were standing in that place, and where they have told, they were wishing the British Army Happy Christmas. Tommy, Happy Christmas. Now Tommy, as I told you, Tommy is a word used for British Army. So children, what these German soldiers they are telling? They are telling Merry Christmas Tommy, Merry Happy Christmas. When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back. Now children, they were not ready to digest it. They were not able, the British soldiers, they were not able to accept it, because till now they were only thinking that these soldiers are playing trick to them. They might attack them, but when these people, the Fritz soldiers, they continuously they were telling Happy Christmas Tommy, Happy Christmas Tommy. Then children, these British soldiers, that is the Tommy, they realize that they are really wishing them Merry Christmas. So they also replied them back. And what did they reply? Same to you, Fritz, same to you. Fritz, I told you, Fritz are the German soldiers. So these British soldiers, what did they did? They started telling Merry Christmas to the German soldiers also. Then Fritz up on the don't shoot lads, someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Fritz up on the parapet, and the keep your head down. I told the men it's a trick. Now children, they started shouting one by one. Many soldiers came and they started wishing these German soldiers what? They started wishing Merry Christmas to them. So at first, parapet is the wall on the side of the walls or roof. The wall which is on the side of the wall or roof controlled. Now these soldiers, children, okay, so these soldiers, what they did, they started shouting at them Merry Christmas. So earlier they thought they are playing certain tricks, but later on children, they knew it was not a trick. They are really wishing them Merry Christmas. So one of the German was waving a bottle above his head. It's a Christmas day, Tommy. We have sashnaps. We have sauces. So sashnap is children. This word is pronounced as sahnaps. Okay, this is pronounced as shahnaps. Shahnaps. Okay, so they are one of the German soldier. They showed the bottle to the British Army and they told we are having shanaps. We have sauces and we are going to come to you. We will meet you very soon. Yes. By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land. Now, children, and in the meantime, what did he saw? Mr. Macpherson, he saw dozens of German soldiers. They were coming towards the British army, okay, with eatables in their hands. And not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. Now, children, one soldier whose name was Morris, he was the first one, and he called them, "Come on boys, what are we waiting for?" And then there was no stopping them. Now, children, he called them and he told them, "What are you waiting for? Why don't we celebrate Christmas together?" And then the British army saw that many German soldiers were there, and what they were doing? Many German soldiers were there, and what they were doing? They were so, children, both the parties, that means the German soldiers and the German soldiers and the British soldiers, they started enjoying. Okay, they started celebrating Christmas. One of the German was waving a bottle. They came. They had a nice time. They ate together. They drank together, and the children, they started wishing each other, and they started celebrating Christmas. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose, but the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. My children, he is telling, Mr. Macpherson is telling he was the officer in charge, he was a commanding officer. He wanted to stop to them from coming and wishing them Christmas. They were coming first, that means the German soldiers, they were coming near to him. But then anyhow, he was not able to stop them. He was not able to, not even this thing came to his mind that he should stop them. But the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. All along the line and hours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another, grey coats, khaki coats meeting in the middle. So, children, there was a line, okay, there was a line, and where what he found the khaki coats people, khaki uniform people, that means the German soldiers, and grey coat people, grey uniform people in the grey uniform, that means the British soldiers. They were coming, they were going toward that middle line, and I was one of them. I was part of this. Now, he said, instead of stopping them, even I start moving towards them. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. So, he is telling, in the middle of the war, we were making peace. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feeling as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz officer. So, he is telling Connie, you cannot imagine how happy I felt. My feeling as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz officer who approached me, hand outstretched, hands full. And now, children, something more wonderful thing has happened. The British commanding officer, he came towards Mr. Macpherson, who was the commanding officer of the British soldiers, and he himself moved. He stretched out his hand and he wanted to have a handshake. He introduced himself also. He told him that he is Hans Wolf. He said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it. And children, he gripped his hand. He gripped means he caught his hand warmly. It was full of warmth. No feeling of enmity was there. And he introduced himself. I am from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. And children, cello is a musical instrument like a large violin. So, children, what is a cello? Cello is a musical instrument like violin. So he told that he himself is a commanding officer. He introduced himself. He told he is Hans Wolf, until he came. He shook hand with him. All right, and he told that I am the commanding officer I'm Hans Wolf, and I live in Dusseldorf, Dussel, Dusseldorf, and he told me before in the army I used to play cello in the orchestra, and then he wished Merry Christmas to Mr. Macpherson. Captain Jim Macpherson. Now even the commanding officer of the British soldiers, even he have replied himself in a very nice manner. He told, "I'm Captain Jim Macpherson." I replied, "And a happy Christmas to you too." He told him, "Merry Christmas to you also. I'm a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England." Now he told me, "I'm also a school teacher. Before coming to the army, I was also a school teacher from Dorset, and it was in the West England." Ah, Dorset, he smiled. "I know this place. I know it very well." Now children, he smiled. He told, "Oh, Dorset, I know this place. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces." Now children, both of them, they shared their rum ration and excellent sauces, and we talked. And children, we talked. Well, Connie, how we talked, he spoke almost perfect English. Now, though he was German, but he was speaking a very nice English, and he had learned all he knew of England. So he told, "I've never set foot in Dorset. I've never been to England." He had learned all he knew of England from school. He told me, "Till now, whatever I knew about England, I know it from my school days." His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book was Far from the Madding Crowd. Now children, Far from the Madding Crowd is a very famous novel written by Thomas Hardy. So he's telling, "Till now I have not heard anything about British. I've never been to Britain. I've never been to England. But whatever I know a little about it, I've learned in the school." And he wrote that my favorite book is Thomas Hardy's book Far from the Madding Crowd, and my favorite author is Thomas Hardy. So out there in no man's land, we talks of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. So children, now he is talking so many things. Okay, he is telling. Now children, they have talked about many things which was related with England, like Gabriel Oak, Bathsheba and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son. He told that he had a wife and one son born just 6 months ago. He told me, "My son is born 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere." And suddenly children, Jim Macpherson, he started looking everywhere, and what did he see? Everywhere they were khaki uniform German soldiers and grey uniform British soldiers. They were laughing, they were enjoying, smoking, talking, drinking and eating. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake. Now children, they also shared, both the commanding answer, they also shared wonderful Christmas cake. And Coney, he thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. Now children, Connie, his wife, Captain Jim Macpherson's wife, Connie, she has sent him a cake, and marzipan was there on the cake. So he's telling, he told him, "This is the best marzipan I've ever tasted." And even Jim also agreed. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. Now he told, though Hans Wolf was a commanding officer from the enemy side, but we never had such a wonderful Christmas party. We never thought that we will be celebrating Christmas in such a nice manner. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Great coats were dumped in piles to make goalposts. Now children, somebody bought football. Great coats were dumped in pile All the soldiers, they took out their coats. It was dumped in piles to make goal post. And children, with that coat, what was made? Goal post was made. And the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. And suddenly a football match started between Tommy and Fritz. With the help of the coat, the goal post was made with the help of the coat. Now, I looked on and cheered, clapped hands, and Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our foot to keep out the cold as much as anything. So children, they were cheering, both the army officers, they started cheering, they started clapping, they started stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. Now children, they have also felt that they were standing too near with each other, that they breath which was coming out, the warm breath, they were mingling. Mingling means they were mixing with each other breath. So he saw it too. Now children, even he felt too, and he smiled. He said, Jim McPherson, he said, after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. Now he told me, I think this is the best solution of the war. Instead of killing each other and fighting, we should have a football match. Okay, and no one dies in a football match. He told me, this is the match where one wins also, one loses also, but no one dies here. No children are orphaned and no wives become widow. He told, here in this type of message, definitely one becomes a loser, and one one person, he becomes a loser, and the other person, he becomes the winner. But one more thing is there, no child become orphaned and no wife become widow. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Thomas could be sure of winning. Probably. We laughed at that and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Fritz won. And finally, children, what happened? Fritz won, 2-1. But as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. Now children, finally children, it was the German soldiers who won, 2-1. But as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it was not quite fair. So he told, our goal is much wider than theirs, so it is not fair. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished. Finally children, the game of football was over. The snaps and the rum and the sauces had long since run out, and children, all the drinks, sausage, cakes and everything was finished now, and we knew it was all over. Now children, both the party knew that now the Christmas party is over. I wished Hans well and told him, I hope we would see his family again soon. Now children, now they have to go back. It was already late. They told that very soon he wished that we both will soon our family very soon. The fighting would end and we could all go home. He wished that the fighting would end finally and we can all go home. I think it is what every soldier wants on both sides. Hans Wolf also supported. He told that I also feel that both the soldiers want this only from both the sides. And he told, take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you. Now children, both of them told that I will not forget this moment, though we are enemy. Okay, we don't know who will win, who will lose, who will die, who will live. But this moment we will never forget. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. Now children, he saluted to him and he walked from there unwillingly. I felt. He turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey-coated men drifting back towards their trenches. And children, he also returned back with the grey-coat man. That night, back in our dugouts. What is dugouts? A shelter for soldiers made by digging a hole in the ground. What is dugouts? Dugout is a shelter for soldiers which is made by digging it out. That night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. What the British soldiers they heard that the German soldiers they were singing Christmas carol, and in a very beautiful manner they were singing. It was a stilly, silent night. Our voice gave them a rousing chorus of while shepherd watched. Children, so even British soldier they also started singing carol, and which carol they sang while shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, all time I will treasure as long as I live. Now children, suddenly they were silent. Now no more Christmas celebration. Okay, they had a gala time of peace, and now that peaceful um, way of celebrating Christmas they will not forget. In fact, Mr. Uh, Jim McPherson is telling, I will treasure this as long as I live. Dearest Connie, now children, the letter is going to end here. Now remember children, this letter was read by the narrator who has seen it, who has taken it from the tin box, the black small tin box. Though he did not want to read the letter, but then he finally, what did he felt? He felt that it is wrong to read somebody's letter, but then he should read it. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. Now he told that by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing, there will be no war, but a terrible memory for all of us. Many will be dying, many will be leaving. I know from all what happened today, how much both armies long for peace. But he told one thing is sure, that both the armies, both the commanding officer, both the soldiers, they really wanted to have a peace. We shall be together again soon, I am sure of it. Your loving Jim. Now children, at the last he written, very soon we will be together and I am sure of it. And he ended his letter by writing, your loving Jim. So children, this is the letter, okay, written by Mr. Jim McPherson to his wife Connie. And finally who got it? It was, now it is in the hand of the narrator. So the story is becoming very interesting. Now let's see what happened next in my next video. So till then I will be telling you again the most interesting part of the story. Until then, goodbye children. I will be telling you about the story in my next video. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.